All right, hey, what's going on, everybody? Let's just take a look at these slides here from our presentation. So, do I use the existing design or do I create a new design and then drag in components? This is a common problem we have in assemblies, and we're going to be taking a look at example number one, which is activity 2.1.3, putting it together, aka selfie stick. And we're also going to be taking a look at this example two, which is activity 2.1.4, which is document the assembly, which is the construction blocks. All right. So let's go ahead and minimize this and let's get into Fusion here. And let's just start here with activity 213, putting it together. Okay. A common issue happens as soon as you show students that you can drag things into a design for an assembly, they become obsessed with that and they always want to drag things in. And that can be a huge issue. All right. And we're going to start here with 213 selfie stick parts. This is what comes with the actual curriculum with 213. And we can see even here in the thumbnail, all right, the parts are already thrown in here. All right. It's like throwing a bunch of these parts on the desktop and now we're just going to put it together. All right. So that's an indicator that we would be just opening this up. So, all right. So just go ahead and double click that to open it. All the parts are there. Okay. And now we can come up and we can start using joint and we can put these things together. The issue is that students, okay, have a tendency of as soon as they can see they can drag stuff in, they're going to see it and they are going to just drag and drop that in to this design. Okay. And if we said okay to that, let's just go ahead and take a look at some of the breadcrumbs that are left. So we can see here at the top, this is an assembly. That's what this icon means. But if we keep moving down, we can see that this is also using another assembly, all right, what we call a subassembly. All right. And we're trying to avoid that. And the reason that we're trying to avoid that is that right now, okay, we can see that all of our parts are floating. Okay. Nothing is grounded or pinned. Okay. And if we wanted to go out and ground that, because we're already seeing an anchor here on this icon, all right, that means we're going to have to go down another level and we're going to have to get to what we want to ground, which would be the stick bottom. That's when I could right click it and go ahead and pin it. We capture it. And now that thing is not going to move. Okay. And we can go forward with this. All right. All right. So just to avoid that confusion and just that other level, okay, don't do this. Instead, okay, what we would be showing our students is just go out there and just open this thing up. All the parts are out there on the desk. Okay, they're on the desktop. Okay, just double click it to open it. Okay, and in this case, if you need to ground something like this handle, okay, you can go and you can find it just by clicking it. You can go over here to the browser. You can right click on it and you could ground to parent or you could pin it. All right, I'm going to say ground to parent. Okay, now we can see it's grounded and all my parts are out here. Then I can start applying my joints. Okay, so that's just a really good example there with 213. All right, take a look at what's kind of there first, evaluate it, and then determine, do you need to drag this in or can we just open it? So in this case, it would just be opening it. Now, in the case of 213, one last thing is that the plastic head thumb screw, this part 911858, 911, that's out there in the curriculum. All right, that's when you would just simply drag and drop this in. Okay, and you could go forward with actually, getting that joined in place. Okay. Another thing you could do is go out and insert from McMaster-Carr. Okay. All right. And then you could just type that number in, which we said was 91185A911. All right. And we can see it's right here. Okay. And all we have to do is say we want to add this as a 3D step and just simply hit the download button and give it a couple seconds here and we'll see that that's going to be brought into our environment. All right. All right. So that's the first part of this. Okay. Just taking a look at 213. So let me go ahead and now take a look at 214. So I'm just going to come back here a level and look at 214, document the assembly. These are the construction blocks. All right. So now things are looking a little different. Now we can see that the blocks have been created individually. And that's what your students would be doing in your class, is creating these individual blocks. Okay. So the first thing that we would have to do, all right, is come out here with a new design, and we'd be saving this. And I would just call this like construction block project, right? Is I'd save that design first, and we can see that is now in the data panel with the rest of the parts. Is now we'd have to take a look and figure out what's going to be our best base component. Well, if you're looking at the activity, the best base component would be the arch block that is on the bottom. Okay, as soon as this comes in, we're going to say okay. We're going to try dragging this and moving it. We're going to see it's not going to move because this has been automatically grounded to parent. Okay, after that is done, that's when we could drag in our rectangle block. I'm going to pull this off of the origin just by holding down on that point, and then bringing in our wedge block and dragging that once again off the origin. Okay, just by pulling on that point, we could say okay, and now we could go in and start using joints, right? But let's talk about an issue that happens that students will do. Okay, students will not create a brand new design for their assembly. Instead, what they will do is they'll just open up the base component. Okay. And then what you have to kind of look at is like right now, this is acting as a component. Really, it's kind of a body at this point. But as soon as we drag that and bring that into an assembly, it's going to act as a component. Okay. So what they'll do is they'll open up arch block. And once that's open, now they will begin dragging in things like the rectangle block, right? And they will go ahead and drag in like the wedge block. And they'll do the same sort of thing that I was just showing you, but remember, this time they're not starting with the new design and dragging all these individual components in. Now, the issue that we have is we can see rectangle block has been brought in, and it's acting as a component. The wedge block has been brought in, it's acting as a component, and our rectangle block is actually grounded to the parent. So if I come out and try to drag it, nothing happens. The arch block itself is still acting as a body. Okay. And what's confusing for kids is when they come out here to add a joint, they will see that arch block is going to go transparent. Okay. It's transparent because it's still acting as a body, right? It has to be a component for you to add joints to it. All right. So in this case, if we want to solve this, okay, and this is kind of the issue, is that you'd have to come up here to your bodies folder, go down to body 1, which is the arch block, and I would have to create a component from that body. Now we can see it's in here. The other issue is it has no name. It's just called component number 2. Okay, and now that's an arch block. And I want that to be my base component. Okay, I don't want it to be the rectangle block, so I'd have to come into rectangle block, and I'd have to unground it, and then go to arch block, and then go ahead and ground to the parent. Now it's there. Now when we come up, use joints. Okay, now you can see all my joint origins are available for all 3 of my parts. Okay, and we could start putting this together. Right now, the last issue is that this, if I did a save on this right now, okay, is still going to be called arch block. All right, and we don't want it to be called arch block. We're wanting to give it some sort of a name that's going to identify this as an assembly, like construction block project assembly or whatever. Okay, this is not the way to do this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close this. I'm not going to save it. All right, if you could just teach your students, like, hey, we're going to start with a brand new design, we're going to save it, and we're going to call it construction block project. Once it's been saved as construction block project, then go ahead and start dragging over your individual components. Okay, like all 3 here. Getting it off the origin. And then we're going to go ahead and bring in wedge block as well, and we'll get it off the origin. Okay, all 3 are now acting as components. Our base component, arch block, is sitting there, and it is grounded to parent. Nothing is moving. Now when we go to joints, everything's going to have joint origins, as we can kind of see. Okay, and now we can put that together with joints. That's the correct way of doing it. Everything is organized. You don't have to create components from bodies, make any sort of fixes like that. So hopefully that's going to help you sort of understand, okay, what is the difference, okay, of using an existing design or creating a new design and then dragging those components in.